In this segment, I'm going to show you how to change the blade drive on an Andis AG2. That includes the new edge, the ultra edge, black case, single speed, double speed, AGR. They all take the same blade drive assembly. This is the package that it comes in, and you can see that it fits all these different makes. The nice thing about the AGR or the AGC or any of the AGC models is that you don't have to take it apart to change the blade drive. It comes with a little hood. What you do is you take the little hood off. Now, how do you know if a blade drive is bad? Well, here's a little here's my little demo. First thing is, after a blade drive gets pretty worn, it gets a bend in the front of the blade drive. That's from going back and forth pushing blades, and once that little smile gets there, I call it a smile, it loses its strength. The second thing is, if you see one of these little ribs broke, you actually turn it back and forth and you actually see that little ribs broke in there. Once that little rib is broke, your blades are going to drag. So we check it out for the smile, little smile, see it there, and check out if any of the ribs are broke. Your blades will drag really bad because the blade drive is twisting in there then. So let's get back to our AGC here. Even though we're going to change the blade drive, we're going to look this clipper over for a number of things. Number one, you want to make sure that if your blades are rattling or they won't clip on the clipper, you want to make sure that this latch has got that little hook on it. Take the time, let's look at it. They're pretty easy to replace. Next, check and see if don't really twist these, but just make sure that your hinge bolts are tight. That makes a difference in the way this thing cuts. About every day or every other day, or as often as you can think about it, you want to take your HV or your vacuum and suck all the hair out of this blade drive system, because if hair gets down inside this blade drive, and let's say you get hair on one side and not the other, your blades will cornrow because it's actually making a stop once it gets to the end. The blade drive will go over to the end and it'll actually stop, and the other side it won't. It'll keep that elliptical pattern going. So if your blades are cornrowing, you could have a broken blade drive, or you could have some hair stuck in that thing. So it's best to keep all the hair out. I've pulled these little hoods off and seen these things so impacted with hair I didn't see how it moved, and that's bad. This is clipper maintenance that you can do. So to do this job, all you need is a fine Phillips screwdriver and a pair of needle nose pliers. First off, let's take both screws out of the blade drive. Most of the time they'll stick in the blade drive, but it's being nice today. Just grab a hold of it and just pull up on it. Just pull the back out. Now, you notice that the blade drive, let me pull it out some more. The blade drive going in and out fits underneath that hinge. I'll show you how to put that in a little bit later. But what we want to look at when we pull this out is we want to make sure there's no hair down in here, down underneath your Euro gear, on the end of your armature here. That's supposed to move freely. If it's not moving freely, you could have a problem. But if there's any hair down in here, you want to dig it out or blow it out or suck it out or whatever, however you want to get it out of there, because that's going to cause problems with your cut. Let's get our new blade drive. and we'll look at it. You notice that there's a little bit of grease in there, and that kind of helps lubricate this Euro gear going back and forth in it as it's pushing it back and forth. Now on the back of the blade drive, there's two plastic posts here that fit on one side of the Euro gear and one side of the other. You can see the slots that it fits in right here, and that's why they're taller than the other ones, because they're holding it against your front motor mount. So let's put it in. First thing you do, stick the black part in underneath the top of the hinge. Then make sure it fits over the Euro gear there. Just push down. Now it's not all the way in, but all you got to do is take your finger, snap it into place, both sides. Now it's in. Take your screws, screw them back in one at a time. And that's it. What I like to do is, we'll plug it in now. I like to turn it on and grab this, try to grab this as it's going around, because if any one of these screws are stripped or weak, one of these ends will pop out, and if it pops out, you might need to either get a new screw or retap that, or get a new front motor mount. But most of the time, if the screws aren't stripped, it'll work. So let's turn it on. Works perfectly. If I was to grab that and either one of these screws were weak or it was stripped, it popped, one of these ends would have popped right out. So that would show me that there had been a problem. Now's the time to find a problem, and not when you put a blade on and you're starting your day out. So it's a little test. I want to talk a little bit about this foam on here. What this foam does, it keeps hair from getting inside this blade drive. So if that little piece of foam is missing, replace it, because that's what's going to help keep the hair out of here. And if it's full of hair when you open it up, take your finger and pull all this hair out of here. You know, get it out of there, because it's doing its job. Put it back on, snaps into place, and that's it. You've just replaced the blade drive on an Andis AG2. Thanks a lot.